Welcome to Nephew and Uncle Basketball Banter. Well, Uncle Dave, since the last time we spoke, it feels like tectonic plate shifting type events have happened. Mountains have moved essentially since we're in the New York area. This Hawks and Knicks game six that just totally was, a 18 wheeler going downhill. Atlanta just did not show up. I guess they were out all night partying, and it looked that way on the court. At one point it was 72 to 22 in this game. It's for those that are wondering, it's the largest home loss ever in Atlanta Hawks history. The previous was 49 points in 2019 in a loss to the Clippers. So this is the worst loss for the Atlanta Hawks, regardless of playoffs, regular season, and it's the largest playoff win in New York's Knicks history. So with that being said, Uncle Dave, I guess there's not much to say in this game. What did you make of the Knicks and Hawks that happened last Thursday?
Uh, well, we talked about it the night before, and we said in Game
You make
Six,
it
the
fun.
Hawks are either going to say at the first sign of trouble, "Well, we've had a hell of a year.
Oh, they said that
Well,
already.
we're going forward," and they said it in the post game. Or two, they're going to say, "Hey, while we're here, let's fight. You got to strike while the iron's hot." And we've seen this before with teams; they always think they're going to get back, and you don't know that. The Eastern Conference, the Indiana Pacers will be back next year. Now you assume the Hawks will be back, but McCollum's 34. Rest of these guys are young; they don't have any size, so you don't know what you're going to get. But and we predicted what was going to happen, and it happened. So again, that's prophetic on our part, but at the same time, this game was 11-8 Atlanta,
Yeah,
and then they had 22 points in the third quarter. That I've never seen before. That was crazy. And it's not even one. It's not even like crazy. They had 19 turnovers, so it's not like one stat. They shot 37% for the game, and I hate to say it, this game wasn't even as close as the final score, and that's hard to say about a game that was 51 point score. The Knicks were up 65, I think 61 at one point, and could have kept going. They needed to rest guys, obviously, which is a smart thing to do. And around the 28-minute mark was the most any of their studs played. But the Knicks shot the hell out of it, 58%. Rebounds, 46 to 35. So it
what's
wasn't
in,
one stat even. It was
what's
just a matter of
incredible
fact
is
that Knicks shot so well.
The Knicks only outscored the Hawks by six, and then the Hawks outscored the Knicks by two. So this was just a first half drubbing right here, and the
Yeah,
game.
well, they could. If you've seen in this first round, I've never seen more things happen right before the half and after the half in these games. This has been crazy. The first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes always talk about, but we've seen teams just get totally blown by half, and we've seen teams totally get blown in the beginning of the second half. I have never seen this many. We've seen some historically bad offensive performances. The Cavs and the Raptors on the same day that the Magic and the Pistons both had record poor shooting performances for winning teams in an NBA playoff game. And then we saw this. And again, we attributed it back last show to, again, people, teams always try to adapt to the winning team's narrative. But again, I'd like to remind you that Clay and Steph are not normal shooters. Those are two of the top three shooters of all time, arguably, if not certainly two of the top five. This is not those teams. The Magic can't shoot. Even the Cavs shooting it's streaky. The Raptors can't shoot. The Pistons can't shoot. Now, when they get hot, they're capable. And we saw the Celtics in this series were awful too. Again, it's great to take those shots, and it's great to be you. And I think Joe Mazzulla deserves a hell of a lot of credit. We'll get to them in a second. But this Hawks game, again, we've seen record number of bad offensive performances, and this is just another example of why. Teams don't run half-court offense anymore. Johnson's too young to be the man, and McCollum was 4 for 13. And that just spiraled too quick.
It felt like Uncle Dave. We've all been there in these AAU tournaments where you could see a score like this, 72-22. It's not
Yeah,
abnormal to see those type of scores, but for an NBA
no,
playoff game, it was really staggering. But you know what though? It's happened before these type of crazy games though in the postseason actually with
sure. Well, it
lopsided.
happened with it happened with 30-point games 2 years in a row in the 84 and 85 finals. 84 finals, Lakers killed the Celtics 80 by 30, and then the Celtics the next year, Lakers by 30, and both the teams that won the opening games lost the series. So it shows to show you it can happen, and it's something that happens more frequently than we think. However, this was not the normal performance. This was a 60-point game. That's absurd to say that in an NBA game.
It goes back to what we've been saying on this show, I think, too. We mentioned with the poor shooting performances, when the regular season is just so nonchalant and there's lack
Yep.
of intensity, you get to the postseason now where everything's on the line. Now it's super intense. Guys now are misfiring on shots that they normally make in the regular season. They're not now able to convert in the postseason. I think you can attribute it right to that, the lack of intensity in the regular season product.
And we've said it 1,000 times. This is the poorest post pre regular season effort I've ever seen. There's been great stories, but it's sad. And we talked about this. I mean, again, you're coming in on a Tuesday night, you're playing on a Wednesday. The team doesn't get a chance to go over your stuff for more than 24 hours. The players will each get a separate tape to the guy they watch, and they're supposed to watch the film, but how often are they doing it? Now
Right.
you got 2 or 3 days between games for the same opponent. There's such a dramatic focus, and you see that in these games, and that's why you get such swings from game to game. The attention to detail when you play a team potentially 7 games in a row is totally different than playing them one game when you have 24 hours less to prepare and guys are getting off a plane. Totally different preparation.
So just to recap on the largest playoff blowouts in NBA history in the playoffs, in 2009, you had the Nuggets win a game over the New Orleans Hornets, 121 to 63. You had in like the 50s, you had the Minneapolis Lakers beat the St. Louis Hawks by 58. You had 1973, the Lakers beat the Warriors by 56. Actually, you had
Yep.
in 2015, you had a game in which the Bulls beat the Milwaukee Bucks 120-66. I do remember that one. And you also
Yep.
had last year, if you remember, the Thunder over the Memphis Grizzlies in game one of a playoff series beat the Grizzlies by 51. So this is something that, like you said, it does happen.
The
Some people
clinching
say,
game, though, it's surprising.
right,
In
that's
front of
the
your
thing.
home fans,
Clinching
down
game
game
at
six,
home. Right, right. That's where
game
probably.
six at home, that's surprising. But the Hawks had no size. We talked about it. Got to give Mike Brown credit. Obviously, they just kept pounding him inside, and they have no rim protection either. And this is the way that game goes.
I DM'd you this on Instagram. So the Hawks did extend Quinn Snyder, which I think is a good move, I think, for them. I think
Good.
he did a solid job with
It
this.
is a good move. You hate, and as I said to you when this game was going on, that how you lose can get you fired.
Right.
And I was happy because people always overreact on Twitter. The fans who aren't really too knowledgeable, most of them, want Quinn Snyder gone. When this guy had a whole new team in the middle of the year and probably one of the hottest 2 or 3 teams down the stretch the last 40 games, and that's credit to him.
We talked about it too. When they casted off Trey Young, people thought that this was like a rebuilding, you're mailing it in type of year. Charles Barkley even said it. He's like, no one expected the Atlanta Hawks to be in the postseason.
No,
And I
he's
mean, they
right.
had a chance to actually win a series against the Knicks here. They were close.
Well, that's why this GM's got some. He did some good things. He's got Kuminga. Okay, he goes out and gets McCollum. You got to make sure that they stay. You got Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson, are pretty nice players. Alexander Walker, he did a good job getting him. Now, if you could somehow find a way to pool something to one of the picks this year and move up in a pick spot, this is the year to do it. There's so much depth.
Yes.
You could pick 15th and get a stud on paper. We don't know how any of this works out in the long run.
Plus, Atlanta's an attractive enough city. You can get free agents there, I
Right.
think.
You could get a guy like Londenborg from freaking Michigan. That's how deep this draft is at like 15. You could get him at 10. You might be able to get him at 15. You just don't know.
Yeah,
So why not package whatever their situation is and try to get this done? Because this team just needs some presence inside.
in our review for when the season ends for these teams, I think the Hawks, if you're the GM for them, you have to be exciting. You have plenty of pieces to work with if you want to trade. You have good guys to keep, so you're kind of in that area where this is where you make your money if you're the Hawks GM. This is your Super Bowl now.
Well, the one problem for the Hawks GM, though, is he still has to look at Risha Shea as their number one pick a couple of
Yeah,
years
that's
ago.
the problem, right? What are you going
Third
to
pick
do
in
with
the
him?
draft. And, that's the pick that can haunt you. I want to say that's the 2024 and the 2024 draft. If we sit back and look, and Risha Shea, I believe, is the third pick in the draft.
Number one pick.
Yeah, I mean, he was the number one pick overall.
Overall, the number one overall selection.
So, wow. So if we look at the 2024 NBA draft, I mean, Jesus Lord, this is not good. This could get you fired, by itself. Again, this guy's picked over Steph Castle. Okay, yeah, number one pick in the whole draft. I mean, this is just a disaster. Alex Sarr is not really a good Reed Shepherd. But again, you got Castle. Well, the 2024 draft has been a disaster on paper right now. If you look at it, it's been one of the worst drafts you'll ever see in your life. I mean, Donovan Clingan, you certainly could have taken. Dillingham's had some moments. Zach Edey's shown to be okay, but if you look at this draft, I mean, good
Yeah,
God, it is awful.
it's not a great draft.
Uh,
It's
it's
time,
not a great draft, but
but it's not
still,
started. It's not coming out the gate really strong. That's for sure.
no, it sure isn't. But still, there were better things to take there that situation. But obviously, they didn't do it. But what are you gonna say? I mean, that's a really bad pick. You didn't even get anything out of him. Averaging 9 points a game and 3 rebounds a game, is not quite what you expect. But he's 6'8" and weighs 200 pounds. So right there, you just don't know if he's going to be able to do that physically in the game. But at the same time, Donovan Clingan would have been a better pick for these guys, but no one's going to take him first.
No, he's not.
But
He's not lucrative enough as far as his
right,
ceiling, as far as scoring
so
goes.
that's a problem right there. But the Hawks GM should be excited for next year. I agree with you.
Well, this is where your player developers and everything. You have to get in the gym and you got to work with this guy, and maybe you
Sure,
can get him to a point where it's like an Andrew Bogut type of career. Where Andrew Bogut, yeah, maybe he didn't live up to number one pick overall status, but he wound up having a pretty
had a
decent
good
career.
career.
Yeah, so you have
Yeah,
to
he was a
look at
good
it like
player.
that. Yeah, this guy might not be Anthony Edwards, which when you're taking a pick that high, you're thinking that's what they're going to be, but that doesn't mean that you bail on a guy that early. We've seen this
Very solid
before.
player.
Yep, yep. So you have to be able to work with him and hopefully get him right. And Quinn Snyder's a good coach, so and he's going to have an
Yeah,
opportunity. I mean, you selected him number one overall a couple of years ago, so you're thinking you're going to give him at least the next year completely before you even consider
sure,
anything, and then go from there.
sure.
The Knicks wrap that up, and then they play tonight against the 76ers, so that's going to be an exciting series. But before we
Yeah,
get into that, let's go over the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets.
I felt that Adelman dearly did hurt him this time. I'm usually not for calling for a young coach to get canned, but let's be honest. Last year they took him for change sake. Mike Malone doesn't lose this series as badly as Denver lost this series. Denver looked disinterested on the defensive end of the floor. I know the scoreboard doesn't always show that because Minnesota is offensively challenged. But when you come out and lose to a team that's missing their three best perimeter players, and you lose this game the way you do, and to be honest with you, it wasn't even that close. That's a bad situation there. And like I said, I know they didn't have Aaron Gordon, but you're missing Edwards. You're
DiVincenzo,
missing.
Ayo DeSumo, and then last the game to close it out, they didn't even have Kyle Anderson, so they were
Yeah.
down.
So here's a situation where I'm sorry, and the kid, they gave the kid Brown, all this money, and he has not gotten better. That's way too big a contract for a kid who's a slasher who can't shoot.
So his
He's
last
like,
four games, he had 3 points, 9 points, 8 points, 2 points. Got to do better
yeah,
than that.
you have to wonder if the fat contract takes the edge off of him.
Of
And
course, that's
Joker
the
wasn't great. You got to give Rudy Gobert credit, but and Jamal Murray, I do think you have to break this team up a little bit, only because, like we talked about, there's a shot clock here with
Well, there are
Joker.
reports out right now that they're listed in trades for everyone besides Jokic, what I think is fair, I think, honestly. I know Jamal
Yeah,
Murray maybe is the other guy you maybe hang on to because him and Jokic, I think, do have a connection for playing so long and they are a good 1-2 punch. But even him, you're
yeah,
going to be aggressive here because, like you said, you have to say, let's be conservative here and not optimistic. Joker, you have maybe another 2 great years, let's just say.
yep,
I think you'll have
yep,
more, but let's just be conservative here. You have to
yeah.
get another championship out of this guy.
And right now, you have to say to yourself, we got to get the 3 seed again next year, but they have to become more athletic. Let's be honest. Aaron Gordon, I would keep if you could. I don't know what his contract status is. If he's a free agent, you're going to lose him. But you got to go get more athletic. I also thought that Adelman really screwed up. You went out, the GM went out and got the backup big guy. He went out and got Hardaway. He went out and got the other Brown.
Yeah, I
And
thought
he's
they were
still
aggressive. I thought they did enough for them
and
to win this
but
year.
I hate to say it, defensive rotations and stuff. That's coaching, and that's why coach needed to be gone in this situation. I don't think he did a good enough job. I mean, I just don't. You went out, you got Cameron Johnson. I think there's pieces here, but the defensive end of the floor,
Peyton Watson.
you got your ass kicked on the defensive end of the floor, and again, Minnesota didn't even shoot well, but you lose the battle of the board 50-33, and that's no Aaron Gordon. But again, Spencer Jones 3 for 4 is starting. Christian Braun has done nothing. Your starting backcourt went 5 for 21. You're not winning anything with that. Plus, neither of them, they don't guard well either. Uh, you know, Bruce Brown, I thought did a decent job, but again, you gotta break away from Jamal Murray. Too many 4 for 17s. He doesn't guard. He can be injury prone. like I said, I know you just got Braun on that contract, so you never be able to get rid of him. But you got to go get a real point guard. And I tell you, some of these teams are suckers. There's a sucker born every minute. And if I'm the Nuggets, I try to get one of these teams that's higher up to take some Jamal Murray off my hands and see if I can get a pick. See if I get in that top 10, because we just said it again. This is a deep draft. There's a ton of players. Can you imagine getting like a Darius Acuff somewhere in there if you could get a Jamal Murray for – now Jamal Murray's a lot bigger, but Darius Acuff he's going to be a stud. Imagine going to find a guard. Like if they get a point guard, they'll be dangerous. I don't think an Elliot Cadeau is good enough if he stays in the draft, but a Darius Acuff is, could a kid like DeBoncha play point? Probably not, but maybe he could. Could Caleb Wilson? Probably not, but we don't know that anymore. So the game's changed a little bit. You got to get someone to bring the ball up, take it off of him, and you got to get Valanciunas to play some backup minutes here. And basically, he plays 3 minutes the other night. So what's the point of that? So you went, you still had Joker playing 45 minutes, and that's where Adelman screws up. He's got to have the balls to coach Joker and tell him, listen, dude, you're playing 36 minutes all season, and in the playoffs, we're giving you 38 to 40. And I don't give a shit what you say. If they fire you, they fucking fire you.
Right. That's the only way you can win, though, because you have to also, let's just give the Minnesota Timberwolves their flowers, too.
Ton of credit.
So the Timberwolves did something that's never been done before. They won an NBA playoff game when missing 3 double-figure scores. The first time in NBA history a team has done that and won a playoff game. So
Terrence Shannon, Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, and Julius Randle didn't even play well. If you would have told me Julius Randle goes 6 for 17, I'm saying you're losing.
So the Timberwolves on last Thursday only dressed 8 guys. Only 8 guys were active on the roster.
Yep.
What's just incredible is a guy like Jaden McDaniels, who has 32 points, and he defends the whole game. I mean, you have to really give him credit. And it just goes to show you that Chris Finch must obviously be a hell of a coach, because you almost thought that they were dead man walking, even though they were 3-1, but you're missing Edwards and DiVincenzo. You're like, how's this team going to be able to muster up enough points to score? And they were able to do it. So a guy like Jaden McDaniels, who's maybe taking the backseat a little bit because Anthony Edwards is the show, is showing that he could really play on his own. Now, I mean, there's really, obviously now in this next series is going to be extremely challenging because they're going in with the Spurs, and he's going to be probably the number one focus, him and Julius Randle. So the rotation.
Yeah, and then Castle's going to just lock him off.
Right, exactly. So, but
although they said today that Edwards is playing tonight.
Well, I heard that he was going to be able to miss the first 2 games, so I don't know what's going to happen. We'll find out
today. They just said today he's going to try and play. Now I don't know, but Castle's going to have fun no matter who the hell he's guarding.
Right, but
Castle's a beast, and then
just incredible.
Look at these guys: Terrence Shannon and Naz Reid. Look at that! Look at that performance. Terrence Shannon 9 for 20.
Yeah, I mean, Terrence Shannon's a guy. The first 2 games he doesn't even play. He doesn't even check in the games, and now here he is in a game that's a closeout, and he gets 24 points. So. It just goes to show you
a lot of strange moves. Been a lot of strange moves as far as who plays in these games, I'll tell you.
Yeah, but it's just obviously a testament to the Timberwolves and their culture and Chris Finch that next man up for them is no joke. I mean, Jaden McDaniel scoring 32, Randall with 18, Terrence Shannon with 24, Naz Reid with 15 off the bench. Just goes to show you this is truly a unit and a special group.
Yep, and I think Denver's going to have to make some changes.
Yeah, they definitely are going to have to for sure.
And Joker, he's gonna get of course gonna catch a little heat for this. Joker didn't play great this series, and got to give Gobert credit because Joker usually kills him. But at the same time, Jamal Murray 4 for 17 and Braun 1 for 3. Nobody's guarding you. Well, it's funny they lost the average by 9 rebounds a game for the series, and that's you just can't have that. And so, the assists and the points are very close, but at the same time. Jamal Murray's just not Jamal Murray anymore. Somebody would still fall for him. Somebody who feels they're close. Maybe a Houston Rocket team would take a guy like him.
Yep.
Maybe he goes and plays with a team like the Mavs or something. But even him, he's got to play 35 minutes a night. He can't play that much anymore. He's always banged up. Got that bad knee. I mean, so somebody who needs a point guard will, maybe even a T-Wolves could use a guy like himself, but he just doesn't guard anymore either. So for him, he's a very good player in the playoffs over the years, and I give him a ton of credit, but I think it's time to break that thing up because you want to be a live 3 seed. And this year they were the 3 seed, but they didn't do crap, so they weren't a live 3 seed. You want to be next year banging against San Antonio in the 3-2 series because you want to have a chance. And if they don't improve this team, then not.
So the Nuggets, I think they could have a situation next year where they have a completely different team besides Nikola Jokic. So, I mean, it could be incredible. You could have everybody basically cast off. So, the fact that they're
Sure.
listening to basically trades for anyone on their roster besides Jokic could be incredible next year. You could have a whole new look, which they might need. And the coach could be gone too.
Yeah.
Everything could look brand new for them next year.
Yeah, well, we've seen rumors that he's been fired, and I think he should be fired. I thought he did a horrible job. Like I said, no adjustments. Gave in to obviously Joker, was obviously afraid. And Mike Malone ain't doing that, I'll tell you that right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely got to be smirking wherever he is,
Yeah,
saying, you got rid of me for this. It kind
yeah,
of did feel like you said a substitute teacher type of feel with David Adelman in
yeah.
there.
Yeah, and he didn't want to say no to Joker, and this Valjunas plays 3 minutes the other night. This is what'd you get him for?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
The GM can't be happy either. He goes out and gets all that bench. Got a lot of fresh bodies now. You got
Cam
more
Johnson played
freshness.
well too in this game, this last
You
game.
got more freshness to play defense, and you didn't do it.
So the Timberwolves play tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. So that's going to be, I mean, that's a David versus Goliath matchup right there, even with the healthy Anthony Edwards.
I think we're gonna go through. I think might get some like late '90s scores here. You might get 100 to an 85 game here often. I think the Spurs will struggle to score at times because the T Wolves can defend as we've seen, and the Spurs are young. So I think the Spurs are better. But are they going to score 140? I wouldn't think so. I would think that maybe they get 185 win because I still think you could play Minnesota some zone here. I thought Denver might try that, but they didn't. I would have played them some zone without a doubt instead of chasing their athleticism. But they didn't want to do that. I'm sure they have their reasons. But I think that the Spurs, win the series 4-1, maybe 4-2. But at the same time, we got to see this. When you're that young, you still have to go through the process.
It's still a team that's going through it for the first time. So
Sure,
anything can
sure,
happen.
sure.
Let's move over, Uncle Dave, to the Celtics and the 76ers.
Oh my God, what brutal!
So
What brutal!
in this game, we have the Celtics, Uncle Dave, changing their lineup.
Oh my God, this
You
was
have
awful.
you had Ron Harper Jr. and Luka Garza starting instead of Sam Hauser and Kata. So
Yep.
this is a game where Ron Harper Jr. only plays 4 minutes and Garza plays eight. So why did you start them then? It just doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense. This lineup change that you have, it's almost this is a desperation move. I mean, Joe Mazzulla was asked about it after the game. And the funny thing is about this, Kata winds up having his best game. He had 17 points and 11 rebounds. It was incredible. But the 76ers in this game were all over the Celtics in the first quarter. So this starting lineup change did not pan out. So what do you make of that?
I think it's really desperation, and it's also sometimes it sends a subtle message to your teammate. You don't believe at him that you're desperate. I mean, Garza maybe because you want to keep Kate out of foul trouble, but I tell you what, Harper Jr. No, your Peyton Pritchard needs to start. Peyton Pritchard won you a game in this series, and Sam Hauser yesterday was 4 for 7. So and he's hit big shots before. I just don't get it. I think sometimes we get so cute and guys get so bizarre. And again, the Celtics shot themselves out of a series. They lost last year to the Knicks, shooting 50 to 63s a night. Again, they had 4 crappy shooting games, and they lost all 4 of them yesterday, 13 for 49 for 26.5%. You could say, well, that's the way we play, and I respect that, but you must have the roster to play like that. Now, this is, again, another example of NBA regular season versus postseason. Everybody's not going to give you their best effort in the NBA post in the regular season. So these other guys fill in, and all of a sudden going 4 for 8 is an easy game. In the playoffs, they're locking in, and now you're shooting 26%. So you know what? This is again NBA playoffs. Guys make adjustments. And Paul George, is probably shooting over 50% for the series from 3. Embiid was a beast. And the thing is, when Edgecombe and Maxey shoot well, they cannot be guarded. They're both quick enough where you're a dead man if they shoot well. So again, 39% to 26% from 3, and that's the difference.
You had in this game, Uncle Dave, there's something that happened for the first time ever. You had first time in NBA playoff history, 2 guys in the starting lineup that did not score at all.
Yes.
So that is something that is record breaking in not a good way. And also, it's the first time that the 76ers came back from down 3-1 in a series.
Or the Celtics lost 1-3-1.
And this is the first time Boston has ever lost a series, went up 3-1.
Yep.
So you had some. So again, this is why I said there was tectonic plate shifting type of events here that happened. It was
Yeah.
just
And
obviously incredible.
Havlicek and those guys are turning over in their grave.
Yeah, they definitely are. So it's funny. You had in teams trailing 3-1 in a series, Entering Saturday, teams were 13 and 288. Since then, 2 and 0. You've had two teams come back from 3-1 and win a
Yep.
series. You had Orlando do it with the Pistons here, and now the 76ers with the Celtics. So this is, like I said, first times for a lot of different things. And this is just a fun stat here. There are seven guys who have played game sevens on their birthday, and the guys are all 7 and 0. So that's a funny stat right there. I don't know how that's just divine intervention, I guess, there.
That's a little jammed up. Yeah, that's good. But again, Tatum's there with a bad knee. I wasn't even his injury when he got hurt last year. So like, what are we doing here? Again, this is a pandemic of scammery on And I love Tatum. He shouldn't have come back this early then. And the freaking KD, my ankle hurts for 3 games.
Yeah.
You're not even at game 5 for your home team. You're not even there for your team. You live in Houston.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
I mean, you're not even there for whatever the home game was. I think it was game 4. Like, you're not even there for your teammates. I mean, like, it's just a disgrace. I mean, then yesterday, you get, freaking Brandon Ingram, my heel hurts. Hey, Brandon, your career has not been what it should be. And here's your chance for you to say something. And your heel hurts? I mean, come on. This is an epidemic of just guys just begging. And again, it's too much money.
Yep.
You're making that kind of money. Where's the edge? It really, and you know what? Once one guy does it, they all do it.
Yep,
It's
that's what's
disgusting.
happening. That's what's happening.
It's totally
And
disgusting.
plus,
It's
you
like
have also these analytic nerds that are in there, and I think that's
Yep.
persevering and playing through pain is something that they're totally risk averse. So it's just never doing anything like that ever.
Yeah, because they don't realize that are you hurt or are you injured? There's a big difference.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
Everybody's hurting this time of year, but are you really injured? We don't know. Are you really injured? Do you have like something really wrong with you?
Yeah, guys like John Stockton, Karl Malone, they would never hear of such a thing.
No, but that's the point. It's just like it's just become so commonplace now. It's and like I said, it's why come back if you're freaking Tatum and then you're going to sit out? I don't get it.
But for the 76ers, I'm happy for Joel Embiid. In game sevens, he was 0-3, so this is his first game 7 win of his career. So that's nice to see a guy who's battled through injuries and really has had a tough hand dealt to him as far as his body betraying him. So I definitely was
Yeah,
happy to see him do that. But you had Reggie Miller and Jamal Crawford on the call in this game, and two guys who could shoot, especially Reggie Miller. We're saying you had guys that were just, they thought chucking threes, taking threes way too early in the shot clock. And Jamal Crawford and Reggie Miller were even saying it. They're like, how about shooting a 3-point shot after the ball has been entered into the post on a drive or a dump down to the block? I know that's something you said too. Why do you not do that at all?
that's where the Warriors have missed out the last couple of years. You still have to have the semblance of a post game, even if it's the high post to cut off of.
Right.
And so
You had in those teams, you give the ball to David Lee down low. Draymond Green used to get it there.
Bogut.
You give guys to Bogut with the dribble handoffs. You have to have action going to the basket still, even if you wind up shooting a 3-point shot, to see the ball come out from underneath the basket as someone who is a good shooter. It's easier to shoot a shot that way than it is from catching a pass on the wing and shooting it. So you have to be able to see the ball go into the interior underneath the rim, even if it doesn't be shot.
It's a curious thing, and it was way too many quick ones. Like I said, if you got a heat check, that's one thing.
Right.
Sam Hauser's the only guy who really had it going. I thought Brown tried to get heroic there late, and he did a good job. But they had 3 shots to take the lead in the last 2 minutes, and they missed all 3. And the real guy that, again, and I'm not trying to criticize because I love Pritchard, but here's a guy, again, that in the regular season did some really amazing things. And in the playoffs, besides one game, they shut him down. And, again, it's the total difference. Like I said, Con Knipple, amazing rookie season, 2 play-in games, shut down. It's a totally different focus on the defensive end of the floor, and they did that with Pritchard too.
So you had in this game too, you had some crazy moments. We'll just go through them real quick. I mean, you had 92-91, Joel Embiid hit a clutch 3-point shot. I mean, the 76ers also were able to just make plays when they needed to. You had a situation also where Neemias Queta, he lost the ball and retrieved at the top of the key, and he did a spin move from 15 feet out and shot a fadeaway. So he had some interesting moments, and Reggie Miller was like, does he think that he's Hakeem Olajuwon?
Yeah,
So,
I heard him say that. But Queta,
yeah,
Queta plays so hard. I got to
he
give him
did.
credit. They got to find with him. I just don't know how Vucevic doesn't play. If you want Joel Embiid to stretch it out, Vucevic can do that for you.
Yep.
I mean, let him trail and shoot the balls because he can hit it too. He's a better option than Luka Garza if you want to stretch it out, and he can make Joel chase a little bit. And they didn't find out. And that's, again, if you're going to go with strange lineups, how about putting a pro in there, a guy who's had success with the Bulls before and some success with the Knicks, I also believe. So bottom line is like, find out if he could shoot a couple for you. Maybe no, he's a pro.
You had late in the third quarter the Celtics go to his zone, and Jamal Crawford was even saying it. He's like, "This is just completely to stop Tyrese Maxey from getting into the lane because no one could stop him from getting to the cup.
No.
He's just incredible. Like you said, he might be one of the most underrated players in the NBA.
Oh, he definitely. I think he's probably one of the best, probably besides Shea, obviously the best point guard in the NBA. I mean, I'd take him over anybody else besides Shea because, unless you want to include Cade as a point guard, that's up to you. But I'll take this guy because he's just a great point guard. He's so quick. I mean, when he's hitting the jump shots, that stuff's over.
Yep.
And then Edgecombe starts shooting well too. I mean, this is a team that, and Paul George is really shooting well. He's not getting enough shots, I don't think, but he is shooting well. And
Oubre's able to do enough, and now with that, we talked about it last show with Embiid. Now the half court offense, now you could run everything through him, so it's just incredible what they're able to do. So I think this is, I mean, obviously this series against the Knicks is going to be hard, but it's going to be fun to watch. But also on this 76ers Celtics game, I thought Joe Mazzulla from his bench, he got a terrible suggestion for challenging that Tyrese Maxey foul. It was clearly a foul. And
definitely was.
And he got from his staff suggesting that he should go and challenge that. They lost that one. I thought that was a big play right there.
As bad as they played, they had 3 chances to take the lead. It's crazy.
They did, yeah. So at 99-96, Tyrese Maxey, he had a wide open layup. He actually wound up missing it. And Edgecombe wound up getting called for basket interference. Celtics have 2 free throws and Queta from Queta, and he makes it a 1-point game. So the next 3 trips down the floor, Uncle Dave, it's a 1-point game.
Yep.
They had a White miss 3, Brown missed 3, Brown missed pull up, Pritchard missed 3. Then Tyrese Maxey takes it to the bucket and converts an incredible up and under Queta. Then Brown drives on Maxey. It was probably an offensive foul, that play. You know the play I'm talking about.
Yeah, he knocked him into Embiid.
You knocked him into under the basket, and he winds up missing a 15-footer. And then Oubre with Maxey for a dribble handoff. He winds up taking to the cup. And then Sam Hauser shoots a fadeaway off a dribble handoff with Derek White. And that was the game. I mean, the Celtics had about the last 6 trips down the floor chances. So you have to give the 76ers credit, and the Celtics, they didn't make the plays and the shots when they needed to. But also, though, I thought of it when you talked about it on our show. So it's kind of, again, another prophetic moment on our program. You said this Celtics team was an overachieving team.
Yeah, that's the worst 2-seed roster I've ever seen. I mean, think of another 2-seed at a worse roster. Now, don't forget, Tatum hardly played this year, so we're not counting him.
Right.
I mean, you have Derek White and you have Brown, who I love. But after that, there's some guys who haven't even really been in the league. I mean, this roster was horrendous. I mean, who the hell's Queta? All right, Sam Hauser, people know. Okay, we know who that is. But where's this rest of this roster? So I guess, they felt like they were playing with house money. Then they get hot, so Tatum wants to come back. Give him credit for that. But this was not a great team. So this is like one of those Belichick or Mike Krzyzewski teams that goes 28-6 and is not that good and loses in the first round to Lehigh. And people go, what the hell is that? Well, Lehigh had the best player on the floor, not Duke. And it's shown out to be true because CJ McCollum's had a better career than anybody else that night. My point is, you overachieve and you're a victim of your own, I said Mazzulla deserved coach of the year, but they pushed hard every night. Their stars aren't bitches and brats. Right. And so they got the 2-seed, but they weren't a 2-seed. Orlando wasn't an 8-seed, and Boston wasn't a 2-seed, but they were.
So Joe Mazzulla and the Celtics players were basically being asked after the game. I mean, it was just raining down the questions. Is this team too reliant on the 3-point shot? Do you think, is this a situation where this is Joe Mazzulla fair criticism on him, where you maybe don't have a second card to play and you rely too much on the 3-point shot, and that's what maybe lost them the game?
Well, I think
for a series?
Intellectually, it's a great cop-out to have. Well, that's the way we play, period. But at the same time, like I said to you a million times, if you get in the game, I don't give a crap. I got to find a way to win. If I have to make an adjustment to get away from my ego, I do it. But at the same time, he's already won an NBA title. So is Nick Nurse. So one of those guys was going to go home yesterday and get blamed. Nick Nurse is a good coach too. But this is not a great team for shooting threes because Tatum is a strong player, and so is Brown. That's not the best part of their game. And you've turned 2 guys that can get to the basket physically on anybody, and now you've made them into jump shooters, and I think it's hurt this team.
I would agree with you. I think when you have, it's kind of an anomaly year because you didn't have Tatum the whole year. I think next year will be really fair to see what happens with them because
if I'm Brad Stevens, I gotta know why I traded away my point guard who was having a great year for Vucevic, and I don't even play him.
Yeah,
So
Anthony
you can't.
Simons, they dealt him away. Yeah.
And Simons was having a good year for them. You can't tell me that Stevens is going to be happy about that.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Obviously, the Celtics, it's all about winning championships. So if you don't win the NBA title for them, it's considered a lost or a failed season. So it's
Sure,
going to be interesting to see what they do in the offseason
sure,
and next year when you have Jason Tatum the whole year. But I'll give
sure.
a guy like Jaylen Brown credit that he really could carry a team here and be the number one guy. I mean, this is a team that, like you said, overachieved, and he had this weight on his shoulder the whole year of being the face of this franchise. So we'll give him
Sure.
credit.
Yeah.
Outstanding year, and they did have a chance to go and advance into the second round to the Rockets and the Lakers. And again, kind of like the Hawks, almost this felt like the Rockets are at home in a game six. You have all the pressure really on the Lakers here because if you don't win this, then it's game seven after being up 3-0. And the Rockets just are totally lifeless in this game.
Yep. Totally lifeless. And again, Kevin Durant, I just lose so much respect for him. And I just, don't tell me your knee hurts now. I mean, come on, dude. Everybody, you're injured every day. Something's going on there. He doesn't really want to be there anymore. And someone's going to ship him out. I'm sure they will. But this is, Hachimura's played great all series. 8 for 15. Got to give him credit. He's played really, this is the best ball he's played a while. Reeves was very good, 7 for 14. LeBron, obviously, all around game, even though he only shot 40%. But the Lakers, who are not a great defensive team here, giving up, basically held the Rockets to 35%. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, this is not a great team.
28 of
Uh,
80.
just Amen Thompson goes 7 for 14, but other than that, Şengün 5 for 12. After that, the shooting percentages are much worse. And this game was so disappointing on so many levels. Not to fight like that at home is just, I don't know, dude. I couldn't believe that you wouldn't get a better performance at home out of these guys. I don't know. I was shocked.
It just looked like the roles were reversed. I'm like, here you are. You just won two games. You have a game six on your home. Like I said, if you win this game, now all of a sudden that Staples Center, game seven, all the pressure is on them. I mean, can you
Yeah,
imagine the Lakers?
they're going to be looking over their shoulder.
Yeah, the Lakers would be the first franchise to ever blow a 3-0 lead with LeBron on the team. I mean, that's would have been gold right there for you. And they
Yeah.
get a great opportunity in front of them, and it's just completely lifeless. This is another team where you might consider blowing this whole thing up. I mean, even saying
Well,
you might just
I
consider.
think I think you have to because when you look around, there's some good pieces there, but unless you get a really good draft pick, and I don't think Durant coming back is even an option. But are you going to blow up the rest of it? You're going to blow up Thompson and Şengün and things like that. But if you can go get a draft pick, again, this draft is deep enough. You can be right back at it. But OKC and San Antonio, even though you can never tell, they look like they're going to be impenetrable for a couple of years here. So you got to say to yourself, you got to fight for that 3 ground, like Denver we talked about. And the rest of this league is going to get better. Dallas isn't going to stay down for long.
No, they're not.
If Golden State goes out and gets a healthy Jimmy Butler and adds one more piece, they're not going to be down for long either. So you could see that, and the Lakers obviously are not going anywhere with Luka and Reeves. Obviously, there's some pieces there.
You don't
And
know what's going to happen with you don't know what's going to happen with the Clippers too with Kawhi Leonard.
DeAndre Ayton, I'm happy for too. DeAndre Ayton played great. So the Rockets should break this thing up. I would break it up by getting rid of Durant. I'd hold on to Udoka, and I'd kick the GM to the curb. I guess it's, why not ask Udoka what kind of player he wants?
Yeah, there were reports that they might let Udoka go. I think that would be absolutely the wrong move if they did
He'd
that.
have a job in 5 minutes. I mean, he is
Yeah.
amazing, coach. I mean, it would take 2 seconds, I think, with him. But the same thing is, you gotta look and see who's more rare. I think Udoka could have a job in 5 minutes. I really do. The Bulls would definitely would probably have looked at him. I'm sure Orlando would be in the market for him if they cut him loose. So we shall see. I don't think they're dumb enough to get rid of him.
Yeah, I would hang on to him. I think I would get rid of all the players before I got rid of him, honestly. And also
Sure.
reported that Kevin Durant, with his burner accounts and everything, talking about the players, that was reported to be that there might have been some truth to that was actually a thing. And players were felt some sort of way about it. So you had just this team that was not playing, as Walt Frazier said, with any sweet harmony. That's for sure. In
Well,
the
the
locker
other
room.
thing too is if you're going to bitch about your teammates, you at least better play and or else shut up.
Right.
So he's a guy again who nobody's doubting his talent. One of the most talented players of all time. I told you, if I have him on a team with 5 or 6 leaders, I think he's the perfect fit. But when you need him to be the dog, he won't do it.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that for sure. I think it's proven. I mean, it was also there are graphics up about his playoff runs after the Warriors. He has not gotten out of the second round ever, or he's
No,
missed the playoffs. I mean, you had a team last year with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker, and you didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, if you put him in a perfect situation, he's almost a perfect player. But that's because you had to space out so much on Steph. You had to cover KD one on one. And that's great. But you don't get to play with Steph every day. So if I'm him, I don't want him anywhere near Cooper Flag. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, the Kevin Durant radar, we're going to see where he goes if
I
he's.
don't need Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant next to Cooper Flag next year. I just don't. I don't
We'll,
need it.
we'll move over, Uncle Dave, to the Magic and the Pistons, and we'll start off with this here: Jamal Mosley being let go. He
Yep.
was 4-8 in the playoffs. He was had 150 and 190 record for the Orlando Magic. So what do you make of his departure here? I think it's just basically it comes down to this team underachieved in the regular season. Now, obviously, Wagner being hurt, I think definitely had a huge part of that. Be up 3-1 and lose, I think that really was the nail in the coffin for him. So what do you make of Jamal Mosley being let go?
Well, I think it's always that hidden measure. The thing is, this team, we talked about it all year, should have been a 55 to 60 win team. They underachieved. Now, that being said, Wagner hurt. But the real key thing is you screwed up the fourth draft pick. Suggs has not been has not been the fourth pick in the draft. What
7
year
of
is he?
39 in this series.
What
Seven.
year is he? 2019.
He's somewhere around there, but 7 of 39, Uncle Dave, game 4 to game 7, which is 17%.
Okay. Yeah, he's not that guy. He just isn't. I don't know who else he is, but this man is not developed at that rate that you would hope. He just hasn't. Maybe he's 2020. Did they have a draft in 2020? I think they did.
Yeah, of course they did. Yep.
I don't know if they still have him with COVID or anything. Where's Suggs in here? No, he's not in there.
He was in the 2021 draft.
2021 draft. This man is not improved at that level, and that's just a fact. And here you go. So let's see who's taken after him. So again, Suggs goes fifth. My fault. Scotty Barnes, Evan Mobley. Jalen Green has not been the second best player in this draft. I mean, that is a big problem. Josh Giddey, Kuminga, Wagner goes after him. Davion Mitchell, who's all of a sudden like not really been even thought of.
Sengun.
James Bouknight is not even in the league anymore. Moses Moody's been hurt. Corey Kisper's Şengün, they could have got 16, but nobody knew about him.
Jalen Johnson, my goodness, at 20.
Yeah, but this, it's just Kai Jones, Keon Johnson. Yeah, there's some good players there. So we can't even say this is a horrendous draft from him. Maybe Cam Thomas is a little bit better, but at the same time, Jalen Suggs is not developed. He always was kind of a scoring point guard, but yet he's not enough of a scorer to be a scoring point guard, but yet doesn't want to play the role of traditional point guard. This is a tough situation to figure that out. Good player, but not a great player. He just not has developed. Banchero in the third and fourth quarter in game 5 looked like in game 6. Looked like he disappeared. That's not a good sign either. I don't think Carter's a winning player. I don't think they have enough shot blocking protection at the rim. So I think they need to go out and really evaluate how much time they have left with Suggs and ask themselves how we get a point guard.
They're in that Goldilocks zone. Teams like the Celtics next year, the Pacers, the Knicks, the Cavaliers, the Raptors, they're all better than you next year, unless something is really drastically changed with trade or anything.
Again,
Pistons as well, who they lost to.
Again, Wagner and Banchero are both guys that can score, but again, that this team ran less offense, in my opinion, than anybody in these playoffs that I've watched. But again, this is where you got to give Redick a little bit of credit, whether he did this for LeBron's age or not. Isolating LeBron at the elbow, that's all you need to do with Banchero. We don't want Banchero dribbling between the legs, shooting step back threes. That's not who he is.
Not elite quick, so you need him to do that anyway.
No, so you need to isolate him at the elbow and then isolate Wagner at the elbow also. So 1 or 2 dribbles. We don't need them doing other things because that's not who they are as players. But yet at the same time, it feels like their offense was just awful. I felt like they didn't run any offense. I felt like it was just a lot of 1-on-4, 1-on-5. Nobody's drawing the other player. This is where Suggs, like I said, he's got all the potential physically. He's just not a good enough player.
Plus, I think what also hurt Jamal Mosley is blowing that 24-point lead, I think, also.
Well, don't forget also, 5 years. He's been with these guys 5 years. They underachieved on the season. I have 2 friends who live down in Orlando. I kept texting them. I said, how's the buzz down there? He said, no one even knows they're alive. And this is a team that I think they expected better things from. And like I said, they don't have any shot blocking. They don't have a point guard. And in this league, if you don't have one of those two things, that's one thing. But if you don't have both of those things, and again, I'm not trying to kill Suggs, but he's not been a good player. Not a big time point guard. Shortage of point guards in the league, and he's a perfect example. If I was them, I would have tried to get in on that three-way and get Garland from the Cavs since they shipped him out for Harden.
But on the Pistons end, though, I mean, obviously an incredible game from Tobias Harris.
Yep.
He had maybe the best game of his career when it's all
Yes.
said and done. I mean, truthfully, I know he also has had a 37-point playoff game
Yep.
that he had against the Wizards in 2021. So he's technically
This is game 7.
But this is, like you said, this is a game 7. And Tobias, you have to feel good for him because it's only a few years ago. He had a game 7 in which he played over 30 minutes and he didn't score any points. He was 0 for 2 against the Celtics. And in that game, Jason Tatum had 51. So that was a game where people were really hard on him after that. So to see him have basically a redemption game a few years later, pretty cool. And for those of you that don't know, my uncle coached Tobias's older brother. So there's a connection there.
Yeah. Plus, the funny thing is, I was happy for Cade Cunningham too. Game 6, he was a monster. But this team is even faulty too. That's why them in Cleveland is going to be interesting because Cleveland at the end of the game has much better options. But at the same time, Cleveland defensively and some of the lineups, I mean, I'm rooting for Kenny Atkinson, but when you're putting Wade out there and the other two guard, Merrill, at the same time, who you covering? I mean, thank God for Jared Allen last night, or Kenny might be on the hot seat today.
Yeah, Max Strus as well in there.
Yeah, I mean, you got guys who don't cover. And then you got Harden and Spider out there who don't cover. And then you throw in Strus, who made a couple of plays. Wade, I mean, you got nobody to cover all of a sudden.
The only really good defenders that they have are Mobley and Allen.
Yeah, and you better hope, well, Schroeder, thank God, looked like he was motivated too. But they really got to watch their defensive covers because I'm telling you right now, Detroit is not a good offensive team. But Detroit's worst unit is their offense. Cleveland's worst unit is their defense. And I always say that when each team's worst unit goes against each other, that's how you decide the games. And here we are.
Who was an unsung hero in this game 7 was Danish Jenkins. He had 16 points for the Pistons. I mean, that's huge getting production like that off the bench.
Yeah. So the Pistons I'm happy for. Duran has got to step up a little more.
He had a good game 7, though. He was 5-9 with 15.
Yeah, them in Cleveland will be fun because Duran and Mobley and freaking Allen are so athletic. Between those three guys, there'll be a lot of high flying going around.
You need a guy also like Duncan Robinson to get going for you as well.
Sure. Well, don't forget, the hard thing I hurt you about him is he's not reliable on the other end. Who's he covering? So it's tough. I mean, you have him in a situation where, they like we said it before, they should have went out and added one more player. And I know it's not that easy, but that's your job.
Yep, certainly is. But we'll shift over now to the Raptors and the Cavaliers, which was the game last that happened.
Very good game. Scotty Barnes, one of my favorite players. This team was one of our 3 teams on the watch way back in October when we started, and they certainly had a good year. They just came up short. I think Cleveland had a good run right out of the third quarter, and that's where that game stayed, basically. They had kept them at bay. And I think that, Harden is not the same scorer all of a sudden again. And I think that, Jalen Allen really made some big plays. And, obviously Schroeder's been able to turn up the heat.
I mean, Jared Allen had a game, 22 points and 19 rebounds. I mean, he might have been the best player of the game.
Yeah, he was. And Jared Allen and Mobley have to be so important because the defense on the perimeter is not good. But it looks like Spider and Harden don't know how to play together yet. I know it's early. And the Pistons can guard. So this is going to be ugly because if you don't, the Pistons can really guard.
So what do you make of the Raptors, Uncle Dave, in the offseason? What would you like to see them do? They kind of, again, they're in that zone right where they're pretty good, but you're not good enough, though, to maybe win an NBA championship. But maybe a guy like R.J. Barrett or Brandon Ingram, they're able to get to a spot next year where they take it to another level. But like you said, missing a guy like Brandon Ingram in this game for them is just, it's terrible.
Plus, it's 6'11". People forget. But if I'm them, and here's the problem. Canada taxes on the higher end are worse than most of the states in the United States taxes. This is where Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady got crazy back in the day. And this is where a guy like Giannis is not going to want to go there. If they could ever get Giannis, this is a ready-made team.
Right.
I mean, this team, you get Giannis, I think Shed is going to be good. You get Shed, Barnes, Ingram, and Barrett, and Giannis, I think you win the East.
He's only going to get better, I think. He's a very good player.
So I mean, if you could go get Giannis, now Giannis has become a little bit of a picky dude, and like those taxes in Canada, like I said, are a lot higher than going to a place like a Texas or a Florida.
Maybe
But
what you could work it if you're Canada, you could do the international flavor here and try to.
yeah, I mean, if I'm the Raptors, I go get Giannis. I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know what kind of pick storage they have, but I tell you, that's what they need. They need some rim protection. I thought Podol in a couple of games didn't get enough minutes, but that's a story for another day. I felt that they need a little bit more rim protection, but again, a lot of strange GM in this year and teams with obvious faults that were never addressed, and you have to question these guys.
You have a great opportunity in the NBA draft this year more than ever to make
Oh
some,
boy,
and then you have free agency.
you can go get a kid like Amara. He's going to be available late. He's going to be available like the 20th pick. The kid is 7'3" and can move and he can catch. So, and you could laugh and say, well, what has a Zach Edey done? Zach Edey's had a pretty good career so far. If you're willing to use guys like that, they can help you around the rim. And so a guy like Amara or somebody like that, this could definitely help you. He's going to be available around 20. There's a lot of size out there. The big kid from Virginia led the country in shot blocking. Monsu, he's another kid. Blocked 8 shots a game a couple of times at Kentucky. Blocked 9 shots in a game this year for Virginia. I mean, just get a shot blocker. It doesn't have to be great. Just needs to be like old Clint Capella. That's all.
That's why I like the Cavaliers so much. You have Mobley and Allen on the front line. I mean, that's an incredible front line right there. So if you
Yeah,
have Mitchell or Harden having a big game and those guys doing their thing down low as far as protecting the basket, they're going to be
yeah.
tough to beat. I can't wait for the Pistons Cavaliers series. I think that and the Knicks and the 76ers is going to be absolutely incredible.
I think it's a lot of chess going on here. I think that the Cavs and Pistons have less chess options. I think that the Knicks, though, with like trying to see if you can keep Cat even keeled is going to be the key because Embiid can drive you crazy.
Right.
And at the same time, just got to keep Cat even keeled and not give into it and still play Robinson, still get your minutes. Go double big, and you got to find a way to see if you can. I don't know who the hell Jalen Brunson's going to cover because he
Maxey or
can't
Eddie
cover
Coleman, no
Edgecombe.
way. Yeah.
He cover it. Definitely can't cover Maxey. Edgecombe at least is a streaky shooter. Put Harden and Anunoby on those guys. Maybe put Jalen Brunson on Paul George because he's not a driver anymore. He's a jump shooter.
Yeah, you have to put him on Oubre or Paul George. The problem with that, like you
Yep.
said, they might try to go post up game on those guys, Brunson, and see what happens.
It's a real problem. Or you got to see where Edgecombe is that night and have him give him space. Go under
Right.
the screens.
Or you maybe see the Knicks maybe try some zone out there, try to slow these guys down. The
Yeah.
Celtics did
And
that.
we're going to see is this way you're going to give Alvarado the proper minutes because this is a guy in this series
Series
who
where you're going to need him, I think, to cover Edgecombe or Maxey for some time.
this is a guy that can help you 10 minutes a night cover somebody. Very much so.
The matchups, like you said, are absolutely going to be insane for the
Yep.
70s and
It's going to be
Knicks.
great.
It's going to come down to, I think, Joel Embiid, his situation with his health and his body. Will he be able to get through this series unscathed? If he's
Well,
healthy the whole series, I give the
and
Sixers
again,
actually a really good chance to win.
but you don't know. Game one's going one of two ways tonight. You're coming off the high of winning that game 7, and you come out, you just play gangbusters, or you're a little banged up. Though Embiid and George have got to be banged. Their bodies got to be banging. They're playing less than 48 hours later.
It's such a quick turnaround. You know the Garden is going to be going crazy tonight. So
you say to yourself, if they're down 15 early,
they
do they
pack
rest
in
Embiid
tonight,
a little
right?
bit?
Yeah, they say, hey, do we try to get game 2?
Yeah,
Right?
so because the goals are split, but or does that crowd carry Embiid through because they hate him so much and he loves it? So
Right.
it's going to be very, very fascinating. It really is.
First quarter of this game tonight is going to be insane. You're going to be able to see how this is going
it's going
to
to be very intense. It's going to be great to watch.
But Paul George, someone like that, doesn't have a ring. You got to be motivated if you're him. Joel Embiid, these guys are all guys that are on their last legs, maybe potentially.
Well,
Here.
Joel's never gotten out of the second round. A lot of that's not his fault. He had guys who wouldn't take 2-foot shots, and Jimmy Butler not being playoff Jimmy as he calls himself. But they've had some poor runs. But this team, he's got the most special player he's ever had. People can talk about Jimmy Butler. Maxey's the special guy.
Right now, Edge
Maxey,
is the running mate as well.
Maxey's got a different gear. Got KJ and Allen Iverson quickness. That's not normal.
Well, the thing is too, if Maxey and Edgecombe, if their jump shots are going, then forget it. Like you said, that shit's over then.
They shot well yesterday. When I saw Maxey hitting yesterday, I go, oh boy, Boston's in trouble. Can't keep him. Even Derek White could not keep Maxey in front.
You can't keep him in front. He's just too laterally quick. He's able to finish with bodies in front of him and over him. It's tough. Like you said, it's like an Allen Iverson, Kevin Johnson combination.
So quick, unbelievably quick. Isaiah Thomas, quick. Just guys who are so quick and just explosive to the basket. You couldn't keep him in front. D Rose in his prime.
I mean, this guy's
Max,
also made game-winning shots in the playoffs.
yeah,
Tyrese Maxey, so watch a performer.
he's a guy who's way ahead of his time because he had to go through some hard shit the last couple of years with these bad teams around him. Where he's undermanned and still scoring 40 a couple of times in a playoff game. He learned.
And a guy like OG Anunoby, Uncle Dave, do you have like Kelly Oubre on him? What do you do with him if you're the 76ers? You're going to have to
I
rotate.
don't know. I still think the key is who Oubre covers. I mean, like, good God. I mean, like, is he good enough to cover freaking Maxey, or is he just too long? I don't know. He might be not quick enough. I mean, this is a real problem. Who you do with Maxey, and like I said, you got to hope that Edgecombe's off. And if he's not, then I don't know what the hell you do. I don't know. I guess Paul George tries to cover Oubre, and you hope that he's missing. Because the worst part of his game is a jump shot when he's still a pretty good shooter. And then you got to say to yourself, you don't have to cover Hart. You got to help off a Hart if you're the Sixers. You got to help off a Hart. We got to see what happens here.
Like, what the hell is like a wild card like Mikal Bridges going to give you?
Mikal Bridges in the Hart situation is the wild card. They're going to help off a Hart because he's the guy you have to help off of. But at the same time, now what do you do? Here's the other problem. Can you play Hacker Robinson when you only really have one big guy on the Sixers? I mean, Drummond's been good. Can you play Hacker Robinson? I don't know if you can with this team. I don't know if there's enough depth on Philly to do that. So this is going to be huge because, like, what do? You got to help off of Bridges. You're going to help. Bridges is a good enough shooter, but you're going to help off a Hart. And then Bridges has to take Hart's minutes and try to hit those jump shots. But sometimes the easiest jump shot's the worst one to make. And, I just think that you got to take Cat and make him punish and beat off the dribble.
Karl Anthony Towns, where his mind is going to be, like you said, you need to be able to have him focused for a whole series, and he's kind of
mentally. See if he gets mentally, edged. I mean,
times, right?
Embiid is a good mental competitor. He gets under your skin,
right?
He falls down a lot, so some people probably don't like that.
He's going to try to do that against Towns.
Yeah. So you say to yourself, can we keep Towns calm? And can Karl Anthony Towns just focus on the fact that he can't cover me? Now I know that you can't cover him either, but the Knicks can get less from Towns and win than the Sixers can get less from Embiid and win. So Towns just needs to be good. And
also, Dave, for those that have forgotten, Joel Embiid and Karl Anthony Towns have a history. They had years ago a big fight. It actually, when Karl Anthony Towns on the Timberwolves and Joel Embiid was on the 76ers, there was like basically an all-out brawl. So for those of you who have forgotten that is also part of something to watch out for in this series. Those two have some history as far as actual fisticuffs, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we just want these guys to stay healthy. I just want to see a healthy series.
Till next time, live long and prosper. May the force be with you.